Jai Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Srimad Bhagavatam Sabari Vedikacharya Ashtadharashata Shishma A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Jaya Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parivartakacharya Ashtatarashata Shishimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Shama Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadip Dham Ki Jai, Ganga Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai, New Govardhan Dham Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Go to Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th Canto, the Liberation, Chapter 9, the Dynasty of Amshuman, Text 6. We'll do Text 6 and 7. Please repeat after me. Shri Bhagirata Uvacha Sadhavo Nyasina Shanta Brahmishta Loka Pavanaha Haranti Agam Te Anga Sangat Teshu Asti Aste Hi Aga Did Dadi Hi Shri Bhagirata Uvacha Sadhava Nasina Shanta Brahmishta Lokapavanaha Harantyagam Te Angas Harantyagam Yagam Tin Angus. How do you do that? Harantyagam Tin Sangat. Teshaste Hyaga Biddarihi. Shri Bhagirata Uvacha. Sadhavo Nyasina Shanta. Brahmishta Lokapavanaha. Harantyagam Tengang Sangat. Tishvaste Hyaga Biddarihi. Shri Bhagirata Uvacha. Sadhavo Nasina Shanta. Brahmishta Lokapavana. Harantyagam Tenga Sangat. Tishvaste Yaga Biddarihi.
Shri Bhagavata Vacha Sadhavo Nyasina Shanta Mishta Lokapavana Rantigam Tenga Sangat Deshasti Haga Viddarihi
Shri Bhagirata Uvacha
Shri Bhagirata Vacha
Sadhavo Nyasina Shanta
Sadhavo Nasina Santa
Brahmishta Lokapavana
Brahmanishta Lokapavana
Padantikam Kinga Sangat
Rantigam Sangat
Deshwasti Gagavindarihi
Deshaste
Inga. Any online reciters like to chant? All right. Shri Bhagirata Uvacha. Bhagirata said, Saravaha, saintly persons. Nyasinaha, sannyasis. Shantaha, peaceful, free from material disturbances. Brahmishtaha, expert in following the regulative principles of Vedic scripture. Lokapavanaha, who are engaged in delivering the entire world from a fallen condition. Haranti, shall remove. Agam, the reactions of sinful life. Te, of you, Mother Ganges. Anga Sangat, by bathing in the Ganges water. Teshu, within themselves. Aste. There is He, indeed, Agabit, the Supreme Personality, who can vanquish all sinful activities. Harihi, the Lord. Translation. Bhagirata said, those who are saintly because of devotional service are therefore in the renounced order, free from material desires, and who are pure devotees, expert in following the regulative principles mentioned in the Vedas, are always glorious and pure in behavior, and are able to deliver all fallen souls. When such pure devotees bathe in your water, the sinful reactions accumulated from other people will certainly be counteracted, for such devotees always keep in the core of their hearts the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can vanquish all sinful reactions. Purport. Mother Ganges is available to everyone for bathing. Therefore, not only will sinful persons bathe in the Ganges water, but in Hardwar and other holy places where the Ganges flows, saintly persons and devotees will also bathe in the waters of the Ganges. Devotees and saintly persons advanced in the renounced order can deliver even the Ganges. Tirti kurvanti tirtani santa stena gadabrada. From the Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 13, Text 10. Because saintly devotees always keep the Lord within the core of their hearts, they can perfectly cleanse the holy places of all sinful reactions. Therefore, people in general must always respectfully honor saintly persons. It is ordered that as soon as one sees a Vaishnav or even a sannyasi, one should immediately offer respects to such a holy man. If one forgets to show respect in this way, one must observe a fast for that day. This is a Vedic injunction. One must be extremely careful to refrain from committing offenses at the lotus feet of a devotee or saintly person. There are methods of prayaschitta or atonement, but they are inadequate to cleanse one of sinful reactions. One can be cleansed of all sinful reactions only by devotional service, as stated in regard to the history of Ajamil. Kechit kevalaya bhaktya vasudeva parayanaha agam dunvanti kartsnena niharam eva bhaskaraha. Only a rare person who has adopted complete, unalloyed devotional service to Krishna can uproot the weeds of sinful actions, and with no possibility that they will revive. He can do this simply by discharging devotional service, just as the sun can immediately dissipate fog by its rays. Bhagavatam 6.1.15. If one is under the protection of a devotee and sincerely renders service unto him, by this process of Bhakti Yoga, one is certainly able to counteract all sinful reactions. Om Gyanati Padanda Shigaranjana Shakaya Chakshulanmadhyamnena Tisma Shri Guruveda Mahamakam Garivachalam Pangam Langai Tegirim Yakipatamaham Bande Shri Gurandiri Talinam Bancha Kapadri Vishta Kripasan Debeva Chapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pavanitananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. About Lord Shiva, we'll read the next one. Like a cloth woven of threads extending for its length and breadth, this entire universe and all its latitude and longitude is situated under different potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Shiva is the incarnation of the Lord, and thus he represents the Supersoul and the embodied soul. He can sustain your forceful waves on his head. Bhagirata speaking to Mother Ganga. Purport: the water of the Ganges is supposed to rest on the head of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead who sustains the entire universe by different potencies. Lord Shiva is described in the Brahma Samhita 545. Chiram yatadada vikari vishesha yoga sanjayate nahitita pritik asti heto Yashambhutama pitata samupaiti karya govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Milk changes into yogurt when mixed with a yogurt culture, but actually yogurt is constitutionally nothing but milk. Similarly, Govinda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, assumes the form of Lord Shiva for the special purpose of material transactions. I offer my obeisances at Lord Govinda's lotus feet. Lord Shiva is the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the same sense that yogurt is also milk, although at the same time it is not milk. For the maintenance of the material world, there are three incarnations, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara, Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is Vishnu in an incarnation for the mode of ignorance. The material world exists predominantly in the mode of ignorance. Therefore, Lord Shiva is compared here to the longitude and latitude of the entire universe, which resembles a cloth woven of threads extending for both its length and breadth. So, of course, Srimad Bhagavatam is full of amazing pastimes of Krishna and his devotees. It's the very definition of Bhagavatam. So here in this section, we are reading and hearing and meditating on Bhagirata, a great devotee, and how he is requesting Mother Ganga to appear in this world, to descend to this planet, Earth. So he performed great austerities to please Lord Shiva, and the idea was that Mother Ganga, she agreed, but she had two concerns. One was, when I descend, Mother Ganga, when we descend, there needs to be a strong male personality to control the waves. So that person was Shiva, and Bhagirata performed austerities to please Lord Shiva, and then he agreed to be that person. And therefore we see so many paintings, especially in Varanasi, right? So many paintings of Lord Shiva with Mother Ganga there coming, and he's controlling waves. So another one of her concerns was that she will be polluted or disturbed by so many sinful people bathing in her waters. Sometimes people, Vaishnavas who decide or who are requested or who somehow or other take up the service of a spiritual master, sometimes they're concerned. Like we were hearing yesterday in yesterday's purport, that a disciple has to be very careful not to commit sinful activities so as not to burden the spiritual master with those sinful reactions. So sometimes people acting as gurus or requested to act as gurus, they have that concern. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to deal with people's sinful reactions? So this is a valid concern. Historically speaking, even Mother Ganga was concerned about this. As Srila Prabhupada one time said, at least one time, he said, every day in India, he said every day 10,000 prostitutes, they take bath in Ganga. But they just continue as usual. So when we think about the process of purification, it is not automatic. It is not simply, I give a donation, I bathe in the holy water, I do this puja, I do that puja, and then I'm all cleared, I'm all good. It's not automatic, but it depends on the state of one's consciousness, the state in which they do it. Srila Prabhupada writes about this in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And this is a section, the section of the deliverance of the Yamala Arjun trees. Of course, we know about Manigriva and Nalakuvara, the two Debauchee brothers who were eventually cursed. It was a blessing curse from Narada Muni, and eventually they had darshan of Krishna and they had perfected their lives. But in their early, before they became trees, they were enjoying with young women in the celestial Ganga. So Prabhupada writes about that. This is Canto 10, Chapter 10, Text 4, 10.10.4. It's a very short purport, but the verse, read the verse in the purport. Within the waters of the Mandakini Ganges, which were crowded with gardens of lotus flowers, the two sons of Kuvera would enjoy young girls, just like two male elephants enjoying in the water with female elephants. Purport. Srila Prabhupada's short and powerful purport. People generally go to the Ganges to be purified of the effects of sinful life. But here it is an example of how foolish persons enter the Ganges to become involved in sinful life. It is not that everyone becomes purified by entering the Ganges. Everything, spiritual and material, depends on one's mental condition. So Prabhupada writes that. So yes, it is not automatic. Now we see that Mother Ganga, her concern of so many sinful people bathing in her water, leaving their sinful reactions, was a concern. But Bhagirata said, "Oh, don't worry about that." First he said, "Lord Shiva, He'll control the waves, no problem. Don't worry about that." That's the first concern. Second concern is there'll be so many sinful people coming and bathing, what to do? So Bhagirata said, don't worry about that either. There will be great personalities, devotees, pure devotees, sannyasis, pure devotees, who are completely surrendered to Krishna, and because they're carrying Krishna within their hearts, they will come and they'll bathe in the water, and in this way they will neutralize the sinful reactions left there. So we can see how pure and how powerful the devotees are. I mean, it's amazing actually that they purify even holy places, and actually. What makes a holy place holy is really them being there. And that is the real benefit, one of the main benefits of visiting a holy place. Just like Srila Prabhupada, when he and other disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and other followers of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur were doing Navadvip Mandala Parikrama around Navadvip. At one particular point, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was speaking, and Prabhupada was there by Charn, and some sannyasis and other people, and then they announced, okay, now we're going to see the deity. And so whoever would like to go, then it's not time to go. Most people got up, like vast majority. There was just a few sannyasis there, but Prabhupada stayed. And he was thinking, he was thinking to himself, and he recalled how, okay, everybody was going to see the deity, but what will they see? Some devotees like to say, what will your rubber eyeballs see? But better I hear, from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And that is the real way we develop our spiritual vision, is by hearing. And that hearing has to be proper hearing, not the hearing of in one ear, out the other. Like some people, they attend class in college or whatever, and it might be like over their head, or just they're really not interested in the subject, and it's just like in one ear, out the other, just nothing really computing. And it has to be hearing that is not that we hear it and then we contaminate the information or pollute the information with misconceptions, our own misconceptions. So the hearing has to go into our ears and it has to settle within our heart or settle within our consciousness. And in this way, we could develop our spiritual vision, Om Jnana Timirandasya. We get our sight back. So the devotees are so powerful, and therefore they're offered special respect. Srila Prabhupada writes here in today's 6th purport, text 6th purport, says that, therefore people in general must always respectfully honor saintly persons. It is ordered that as soon as one sees a Vaishnava, one sees a devotee, or even a sannyasi, one should immediately offer respects to such a holy man. So we offer special respects to devotees because they're special. Bahunam Janmanam Ante, right? They're, out of so many people, they have surrendered to Krishna. They have taken to the process of Krishna consciousness. So therefore they're special. So therefore they're given special respect. That they're very dear to Krishna. And of course, to understand this is not so easy. To understand the necessity of respecting Vaishnavas or giving special respect to Vaishnavas. Because the general tendency is to give respect to no one. That's the material world. People respect people for the purpose of sense gratification. They flatter, they this, that, so many different things for the purpose of gratifying their own senses. So the general tendency is not to respect anyone. And the tendency of, they call materialistic, or they say prakrita bhaktas, is that they don't understand the value of devotees. So therefore, why special respect? There's no respect. So we have to be careful not to fall into that. Because, again, that's a natural flow of things in this world. So we have to fight against that. We have to push against that tendency. And life is not meant to be easy. It's not easy, actually. And it's not meant to be easy. So it requires pushing back. We push back on the modes of material nature, or else they just push us down. So therefore, fight. Fight. So devotional service is, devotees are powerful, but devotional service is also powerful. Here, it's being mentioned, the power of devotional service in the history of Ajamal, Ke Chit Kevalaya Bhaktya, that only a rare person who's adopted complete unalloyed devotional service to Krishna can uproot the weeds of sinful reactions with no possibility that they will revive. So the qualification, so this is a rare person. Okay, first of all, it's rare. It's not that everyone, it's rare. And what's rare? That they've adopted complete unalloyed devotional service to Krishna. So, savai pumso paro dhammayato bhakti hoksuje, that it is without any material motivation, it is uninterrupted. Narantara, it's just going, uninterrupted. And it's pure unalloyed devotional service. So that particular bhakti can uproot the weeds of sinful actions with no possibility that they will revive. So it kills all the sinful reactions, but it also kills the desire to engage in them. And people suffer because of, one, sinful reactions, things they've done in the past, and two, they suffer because of their sinful desires, because it's a cycle of sin and suffering. So if one could be freed from the sinful reactions and one could be freed from the sinful desires, it's such an amazing blessing. And that's what this particular bhakti does, is it removes the sinful desires. It is not that one is just gritting their teeth or struggling or suffering to avoid sinful activity, but they don't want it. The desire is gone. But sometimes, just like Srila Prabhupada gave the story, I'm not sure where he got this story, but some of the stories, I'm not sure, where Srila Prabhupada get it, because sometimes they're quoted from Chanakya Pandit or other sources, Bhakti Siddhanta, but he also have all those Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur stories. Not sure where he came up with them or where he got them. But anyways, Srila Prabhupada gives a story that a man who is a thief by profession, but he seems to be a pious thief. He's going on pilgrimage. He goes with all of his buddies on pilgrimage, family affair. So he goes on pilgrimage, and he's sleeping. They're all in one big room. Imagine a room like this, some big room with a bunch of pilgrims. So then the sun goes down, and he's itching to get up and just steal something. That's what he does. It's amazing that the power of attachment and the power of just habitual thinking and feeling and acting. It's amazing. So he's thinking, all right, what am I going to do? I'm with all of these saintly devotees, these pilgrims. I can't steal their things. That's not right. So what he did is he'd get one bag and then he'd move it over there, and then he'd get another bag and he'd move it over here and he'd get another. And he's just moving stuff all night long, because practically what is stealing? I mean, you see a bike in somebody's backyard and you take it and you move it from that place to your place. It's stealing. Kanai got his bike stolen recently. Sorry, Kanai, if you're listening. So that's what he was doing. He was moving stuff all night long. So then the pilgrims, they got up in the morning and they're all looking at each other. What's going on? What's happening? Maybe there's a little bickering. Somebody moved my bag, this and that. So then the person, he goes to all of them. He says, "I'm so sorry. By nature, I'm a thief. By profession, I'm a thief. But you're all saintly devotees. I could not steal from you, so I was just moving your things all night long." So, we see that this is the power of attachment. This is the power of habitual thinking and feeling and acting. So, but of course, if that person continues in his bhakti and becomes more purified and takes a lot of prasadam or whatever, he becomes more purified in his activities with sincerity and seriousness and in the association of saintly persons, he'll be free from that. It's not that he just continues like that. Every time he goes on pilgrimage, just moving people single. Eventually probably, hey man, you're not going with those, like stay by yourself. But he gets free from that. That's the idea. So, and he does that by discharging devotional service, just as sun can immediately dissipate fog by its rays. So it's not a big deal for sun to dissipate the fog. It's not a big deal at all. The fog's there, and as soon as powerful sun rays come, then it dissipates it. So similarly, if devotional service is done, cultivated properly, then we will get the result. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada writes at the end of the purport, if one is under the protection of a devotee and sincerely renders service unto him, by this process of bhakti yoga, one is certainly able to counteract all sinful reactions. So one has to be under the protection of a devotee, and one has to sincerely render service to that devotee. So, and And by this process of Bhakti Yoga, one is certainly able to counteract all sinful reactions. So we could question ourselves. Okay, well, how much am I under the protection of a devotee, or how much am I under the protection of devotees, and how sincerely am I trying to serve them and follow the process of Bhakti Yoga? So that's a question that we need to ask ourselves regularly. And that's a question we need to, that's something we can always refine. The process of bhakti and perfection is unlimited, so we could always become better and better. But if we do that, then we will get the result. So that's what Srila Prabhupada's saying. So, all right. Does anyone have any question or comment? Yes. Maybe Tapas for Christmas, you could get us a third mic. We have 2 mics for the men, and we could have 1 mic for the women. If you're listening, Tapas.
Yes, Prabhu, I'm listening.
Wow.
He said he's listening.
Okay, so I'm just thinking about the point about how if we do devotional service, then not only will we lose the sinful reaction, but we'll lose the desire to commit more sins. Mm-hmm. And you were saying that it isn't that we're just like gritting our teeth and struggling against doing the bad things, that we end up not actually wanting to do them. But I feel like that time that we spend still wanting to do the things, it's like in scripture it'll say things like immediate. It's like, well, how immediate is immediate? And I liked your point about how we can ask ourselves how much we are actually taking shelter of a devotee. Like maybe if it's going slower than we think it should go, maybe we need to be making more effort. But at the same time, I'm wondering if you had any more comment on like, sometimes it just takes time, right? And we have to just like, I feel like there could be a tendency to say, well, but I still want to do this thing. I'm just not on that level yet. So maybe I should just go ahead and do it and then just wait until I'm more purified and don't want to do it anymore. Mm-hmm. I wonder if you had any comment about that.
Yeah. Yeah, like in this chapter coming up, we will hear about Maharaj Khatvanga. And Maharaj Khatvanga is famously known for, says he helped in the battle between the demons and the demigods, and of course he was on the demigod side. And they asked him, do you want a benediction? And then his question was, well, how long do I have to live? Because it's like, well, you get a benediction. It's like, some people, Parashakti was telling me, Mataji, Parashakti, she was telling me how a lot of people that she worked with, because she worked in the government service here in San Diego, she said a lot of people, they would push the time that they would retire. People have an idea, okay, I'll retire and then I'll enjoy things. I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do stuff that I always wanted to do, but I couldn't do because I was too busy, whatever. So, because people would push the age limit. I forgot, I don't know what the age limit is these days, but. And then she said that a number of people she saw over the years, they pushed, and then right when they retired, they just left, left their body. So it's like, their plans for enjoyment obviously didn't manifest. So Khatvanga Maharaj, being very intelligent, he said, well, how long do I have to live? And then they said, well, you don't have much long to live at all. I think it was just some moments. And he just surrendered at that point. He just surrendered to Krishna, and he attained perfection. So it doesn't have to take that long, really, but generally we see that it does take some time. And time in 2 ways. That time, like right now it's 8:30 a.m. December 27th, 2025. So, and then next year will be December 27th, 2026, 8:30 a.m. So time in that way, the amount of time. But also time in the sense that we have to put time into it. It's not that 8:30 a.m. this date and then by next year, oh, I've done my time. But we have to put time into it regularly, every day. Just like if you want to become a expert musician or cook or whatever, you have to put time into it, like a lot of time. Like hours and hours and hours and hours, so much time. So generally it takes time in that way. We have to practice and practice and cultivate our desire to want, Krishna consciousness, or like say pure Krishna consciousness. So those are some things.
Thank you. So, but in the meantime, I guess it may just be difficult, and we should still try, right? Like,
Another thing is that we shouldn't expect on our side to be freed from automatically or something, for everything just to be like freed and smooth and easy. But we have to put a lot of work into it, and in that way we're proving our sincerity in many ways. Like, just like to be in a Navy SEAL, you have to like really struggle, and you have to prove that you're like qualified or that you're serious. In many ways you may be qualified, but are you serious to be a Navy SEAL, for example? Like, you may be qualified, but maybe you don't want to go through Hell Week. That's what they call it, Hell Week. They wake you up early in the morning. They make you swim in the ice cold, whatever ocean, this and that. They do that. It's Hell Week, they call it. And that's like, it's not just a week, but it's just like, I think it's a year of training or something. It's just like really tough. And I think like something like 80% of people don't make it. So in many ways, our endeavoring and our struggling and our trying is a test in the sense that, okay, how serious are you? Do you really want Krishna, or do you want other things? And again, as we were discussing earlier, it really depends on our consciousness, because they say that the holy name of Krishna is Chintamani. Chintamani, which means a wish-fulfilling gem, means to give us whatever Krishna would give us what we want. And sometimes, so be very careful. We can look at it in that way. And that is also purifying, our struggling and endeavoring, and that's also purifying. And that's proving our sincerity. Just like Srila Prabhupada, he got a letter one time. And one person in the letter was telling Srila Prabhupada how much he was struggling. Started with this and that and so many different things, and he really suffered. And you might expect, that Prabhupada gets a letter and he's like, my God, like this person's, like what to do about this person. This is like, you could imagine Prabhupada might think something like that. But Srila Prabhupada, he said, he was actually pleased. And he said, just see how much this young boy is struggling for Krishna. So you can look at it like that. And Madhudvisha Prabhu, Prabhupada's disciple, he, in one Vyasa Puja offering to Srila Prabhupada, he said, he spoke with Srila Prabhupada, or he's quoting Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was asking, or devotees were asking Srila Prabhupada, oh, how can I please you? And then Prabhupada said, you could struggle. Which, jokingly, everybody could do that, right? Struggle for Krishna. It's difficult, and that struggle though is a way we could show our appreciation, show our devotion. That despite all of my mental or physical or whatever obstacles that I've created for myself, or that are in this world. Despite all that, I'm continuing. So that's we could look like that. Also, lastly about this, because I don't want to keep on, but nectar devotion, there's a section there where it's called Always Expecting the Mercy of the Lord. There's a section. And Srila Prabhupada quotes from Lord Brahma's prayers that Tate Nukampam Sushamikṣamana, that those who continue to bow down to worship me, Krishna says, despite any obstacles presented from their past sinful reactions, they become very pleasing to me if they continue in that way, and they become rightful heirs to the kingdom of God. So Prabhupada writes about that, and he says that this particular verse should be the motto for all devotees. Yeah, so anyways, that could be looked up too. That's a good thing. All right, any last? Yes.
Someone might say, but I thought it's Krishna consciousness is the perfection of religion. It's joyfully performed. It's all auspicious.
Yeah.
And you're talking about struggle and suffering and, geez, I'm going to become a Christian. They promised me the good life automatically.
Yeah. Well, we struggle, we suffer for Maya, or we struggle and we suffer for Krishna. But that struggling and suffering for Krishna, and that working for Krishna, it's not that in that process there's no happiness. There is happiness. There's great happiness, great joy, actually. It's not that we're struggling, suffering, and there's just no immediate reward, if you want to call it that. But throughout our trying to serve Krishna and so on, there is happiness. There is a great connection, great happiness from the process of Krishna consciousness, chanting, dancing, and so on, different aspects of bhakti. So, yeah.
Okay, I'm back on board. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Jai. Grantaraj, Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Hare Krishna.